Alrighty guys, this is Evan PC here, coming at you guys today with a video about my favorite program for overclocking, which is MSI Afterburner. That's had a little bit of a change. But first off, I'm sure as you can tell, finally my mic setup is here. So I know if you've been watching the last couple of videos, you probably been heard me talking about this mic, and it's been a long time ordering all these different parts, and I guess if you'd like me to do a little tour here about kind of what I'm using, if you're interested in this kind of a thing, with the got the whole 9 yards, everything's all sounding pretty good, hopefully a lot better than this, so I won't have to be using that anymore. Wasn't not a terrible mic, still recommend it for starters, but it's not gonna get that nice NPR sound, like talking really close to the mic. Anyways, so I was inspired to do this video after, well, first of all, if you guys definitely liked, commented, and subscribed on my my last video about overclocking the GTX 970. Now, I got this card pretty early on, so there weren't a lot of videos out there, so I'm sure helped a lot of you guys out there. But now a lot of you guys are buying these cards, figuring out where to buy them, because you can't really get them anywhere. A whole lot of places without doing some silly bundles. But I just had a little some issues, so I ended up reinstalling Windows, and of course went to go reinstall MSI Afterburner, and right here this mysterious looking thing came up. So if you've used MSI Afterburner or watched my other video, obviously you could tell it's changed from the green and black scheme. Now, if the purpose of you watching this video was to wonder how, like, oh gosh, I can't deal with this, there is in settings here, you could scroll over, there is a user interface, and there's the original one, the Afterburner, default MSI Afterburner. I'm trying to think here which one it is, but it's in there. So if you're really looking to get rid of that, because you can't stand this, I guess that's how. But if you are wondering how you can really take advantage of this, because there have been some interesting changes, I guess look no further. So here we see a very dashboard-like in a car setup, but also we have our familiar sliders here. So I found that the sliders were actually quite a bit different than what they have been previously. So I was looking to just take my old overclock settings, put them right back into here, close it out, and never see this again. But that was not the case. So over here is just monitoring. So right now 34 degrees Celsius, which is not my usual temps. Just kind of got done doing some gaming, just a little high. I know some of you that might sound crazy, like, what, 34, that's really low. Yeah, it's generally pretty cold in here, so usually about 30, just on average. But here's, we could just monitor how much voltage you're taking up. So I mean, if you're ever just curious about that, nothing really handy. But where it really gets exciting is over here. So before, we had to use other programs like GPU-Z and different things like that, which, I mean, that's totally cool, but integrating into one program that I already like to use is a pretty neat thing. So right here, you can actually monitor your base and your boost clocks. Now, if you're wondering what a base and a boost is, it's basically your card ships with a base clock, which is on this card about 1100 megahertz. So that'd be in this dial. It's not very precise, but it'd probably be right around in here somewhere. But also the card gives you the option. Well, actually, it comes with the, I'm sure you can turn it off somewhere, but it also comes with a set, about 1300, correct me if I'm wrong, but about a 1300 boost clock. Sounds a little bit high for stock, but yeah, so basically if the card is running efficiently enough and it's running cool enough, the card will actually automatically overclock itself to whatever you set it to, which is out of the box 1200 or 1300 megahertz, something around there. Now with this, the core clock, when you start moving it around, and I'm sure if you played with this and then kind of been, I don't really know what's up here. So you see that as I slide this all the way around, it's very, how do I say? It's very intuitive, I guess, more so than the last one when there's just numbers and you don't really know what you're doing, because it doesn't really tell you it didn't really tell you the clock last time. You're just plus or minusing you know, how much percentage, which is, it's a little bit more complicated. Now here you can actually see what you're currently running at for your base and what you're currently running at for your boost. So here's your here's our RAM speeds. Now I chose not to overclock the memory any. Some of you kind of said some stuff last time about how, you know, overclocking the memory is not giving you the most performance and yada yada yada. Now I just didn't, because of course the GTX 970, I know everybody's tired about hearing it, but the memory issue, we only have 3.5 gigs usable. Now if you have that overclocked, you're gonna and you actually go and exceed that 4 gigabyte frame buffer, or the 3.5 gigabyte frame buffer, which there are 4 gigs on the card. And if you're unfamiliar with this, and if you are, you're probably completely tired about hearing about it. But if you do exceed, you will that last 5 or 0.5 gigabytes, or not 0.5, yeah, I suppose the last half of a gig basically is downclocked extremely hard. So because this isn't an actual NVIDIA product, I'd see there being some conflicting between overclocking the 3.5 gigs and the last half of a gig or whatever. So because you're probably, if you actually do exceed that frame buffer, which you're probably not going to unless you're gaming at 4K or something like that, have some extreme settings with texture and whatnot. But just for that sake, we're going to take all that rest of the power that we have and put it into our core clock, because that's really what matters. Now, again, this was a process because I didn't really know where the limits are for this card, because it is still an air-cooled card, has that blower fan on there. I didn't really know how far I could push this, just because, well, this is a completely new setting. So what I found the sweet spot is about plus 155. Now that puts you at around a little bit over a 1200 megahertz base clock, which is really good actually. But if you keep the card cool, which I don't use automatic because it's going to keep the card hotter, because it doesn't really care about your temps. It just kind of wants to keep itself alive, which it will. It totally will. But I set mine to 40 automatically. And if I'm in a really like insane session or something, I don't mind checking up on it. But if you, you know, just to make sure that I'm not, you know, completely killing the card for some reason, 40% is generally going to be good, and you're not going to hear it even without headphones. But 50 would be safer, but you are going to hear that without headphones. With headphones, even with nothing playing back through them, no way I can hear. 100% you're going to kill the fan, but 40% is about a sweet spot to keep you right around 30, and it's just actually increasing right now. That's a little odd. I don't know how accurate this is, so I'll have to check up on that later, and I'll do an annotation somewhere. If you don't see an annotation that says this is incorrect, then it's probably accurate. But that seems a little warm. It's not that warm in here right now. But anyways, so we have the memory clock at plus 0, this at plus 155, and of course your power limits and your temperature limits are at 91. Now, the only way that you can get that is by, I had a fellow subscriber mention BIOS hacking, which I will personally never do, because 1 out of 5 times that ends up in a bricking of your card, which is something that I'm not going to do. So no thank you. But I would never ever get close to that anyhow. And of course the power limit actually scales. You want to be able to take up as much power. Now, if you're at this point running your card at a lower power because your power supply can't handle it, then it's probably time for an upgrade on a power supply. But if that's the case, then it scales the temperature limit accordingly, which is pretty cool. But I max those out instantly. Now, the other thing is that when you're installing this, a lot of people just click X because it's like, it's, adware. But when you're doing this, you're prompted to give, it's like an install of something called Riva tune statistics server, and you're going to want to install that. Even if you don't use it, you're going to want to install that, because if I go to monitoring, and when you hear me talking about so I'll be using Fraps. Now Fraps isn't my thing of my recording preference, and it's definitely not my FPS counter preference, because I do pretty much need to have my FPS counter up there all the time just to see what I'm getting, you know, and you guys like to see that too, just, you know, so if you guys were to get this card, you know what to expect. But if I check frame rate and I select it, I can actually click show an on-screen display. Now I can't do that right now because I'm in the stream, and Open Broadcaster doesn't like interlacing frames into the GPU, because you're not actually putting it in the game, it's being interlaced. So if you check this and you make sure that this is also checked, it'll pop up, you know, you'll get the confirmation in OSD, and the on-screen display is right here. You can change the text, you can make it a bar graph, whatever, change the color of it, lots of cool things, and that's what I use personally. So I don't think I mentioned that in the last video, but yeah, so we're just taking a look here at the brand new version of MSI Afterburner. Well, not brand new, just kind of a retextured skin. Well, anyways, thank you for watching. Like and comment what you guys want to see next. If there's anything that I missed, I'll be happy to clarify on that. And I'll see you in the next one.